All right, we got some breaking NFL news, so here's what we're going to do. We were going to take a look ahead to the Browns because at the time, the breaking NFL news was that Kevin Stefanski said P.J. Walker is starting. So hang around. That's coming up in 15. Right now, though, this from Jacina Anderson. Breaking free agent defensive end Frank Clark, former Seahawk, just told me he's flying in today for a visit with Seattle. If all goes well, he will sign with the Seahawks.
I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
I didn't think they were going to do it, yet I understand why you would do it.
Okay.
This man has been productive the last couple of years. As of late, it's been a little bit of a struggle. I look at the defensive scheme and thought that maybe he wouldn't be a good fit, but you know what? This defense is balling. You lost one of your dogs, so you got to go check somebody out.
Let's backtrack. Why didn't you think they would do it? Because I've asked you before. We've had so many questions into the Mac and Jacks text line. Well, they signed Frank Clark ever since Frank Clark obviously was released by the Broncos. And you always said, I really don't think so. Why?
Just because he had his success on a 4-3 or playing in a 4-3 defense. Now, you look at what the Seahawks do, and at times it looks like a 4-3 defense. It's all personnel or whatnot. I just felt as if that's the type of defense he needed to be in to have that success. But you know, you hear Clinton Hurd and Pete Carroll say, look, it's 3-4 with 4-3 principles. When Clark is out there, I bet we're going to see some 4-3 principles. And I'm not against it. I'm always with signing a baller. And then for some reason, guys come back to Seattle and find their way. So let's see what happens here.
Someone said Danielle Hunter from the Vikings would be a better fit than Clark. However,
Are the Vikings going to give that up, though?
Well, exactly. I just read Diana Rossini with The Athletic had a report on everything she's hearing around the NFL trade deadline, and her note for the Vikings was that the Vikings are taking calls on Danielle Hunter but haven't yet heard an offer they're satisfied with. I am guessing the Seahawks aren't going to want to give what the Vikings are going to want. So let's go back to Frank Clark for right now. He was most recently with Denver, appeared in 2 games, didn't start any of them, had 2 combined tackles, so obviously not much there. But for 3 consecutive seasons from 2019 to 2021 with Kansas City, he was in a Pro Bowl. The most sacks he's ever had in a season is still with Seattle in his final season here. It was a different defense, different coordinator, different base defense, different players were here. Is this because of Uchenna Nwosu? Is this just them taking a look?
No, it's Uchenna. They were probably going to look anyway, but Uchenna made it like, all right, we really got to take a look. Fly him down here. Let's see where his mind is at. Let's see where his body is at. And I look at this pick and I go, all right, it's kind of like the Devin Witherspoon move. You're just going to get the best available player out there right now. And I think Frank Clark, when it comes to guys being available, he might be the best available within the means that the Hawks are willing to spend. You could go after the young man over there with the Vikings, but they're going to ask too much. My man has, 12 TFLs and is up there when it comes to sacks. So they're going to ask for a lot because they're looking to build that defense because obviously they've had trouble stopping guys from scoring. So, no, man, I'm not against it. I didn't think it was going to happen. I didn't think it was necessary. I thought maybe that'll allow some other guys to grow. But when you can get a veteran who was a Pro Bowler, who's been here before, different defense, but you're familiar with them, I can understand why you would do it.
Let's talk about Frank Clark here in this second stint with Seattle, which is ironic considering Jaron Reed's second stint with Seattle, and it was the last time 2 defensive linemen had double-digit sacks for Seattle. But so Jaron Reed returns. They're taking a look at Frank Clark. This isn't going to be a trade. It would be him signing as a street free agent. He's now 30 years old. When he was with Seattle his last season, he was 25 years old before they traded him to Kansas City. When they initially took Frank Clark, it was maybe you can be our young premier edge rusher of the future. It seems like he's going to come here at 30 after a lackluster time with Denver and have a very different role. Like, this isn't your defense anymore.
Nah, and it doesn't need to be. You got help. Jay Reed is playing at a high level. You got Boye Mafe, who's the team sack leader. You have DT, who has shown that he's capable of getting it done. Now he's got to be more consistent. And maybe because DT has only been used in certain situations, you need a guy like Frank Clark to come in and help out. You got Derek Hall, who is developing. We'll see what happens there. So, again, depth is going to be awesome. And I think that hopefully the sit-down meeting goes well and he's at a different place. At 30 years old, you would assume that mentally he's at a different place. He'll understand his role. He's anxious to get back, and he wants to play football and play at a high level. Going to be teamed up with Jay Reed again. I mean, it all looks good on paper, man. If it works out, I hope to see him as soon as possible. Because this defense, man, over the last 4 weeks, they've allowed the least yards in the NFL, 711 yards since week 4. The closest is around 1,100 yards. So this defense is balling right now. And if he can contribute, then contribute. But I feel like he has to fall in line, and I think that because his defense is playing so well, naturally he will. You got Bobby Wagner over there. You got Jamal Adams over there. Jordan Brooks. There are guys who are holding it down right now. So if it meshes, I think it could work.